Live right now?
Well, like you're hot.
Well,
Like everyone can hear us?
I mean, yeah, we were
On the
hot
internet?
What a mistake. Hello, internet. We love you.
Yeah.
Right.
Hello, internet. It's me, your best friend.
He said hot mic, not hot video. So you can put that social security number up just
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the audience,
you're right.
and then you encourage people from the internet to be here at DragonCon.
Yeah, this is a special. If anyone wants a terrible credit score, this is the secret
Do I
password.
have one for you? Yeah. Everyone's sitting there just, this is a financial literacy panel.
Oh my God, thank God.
Yeah, and we're a panel of non-experts.
I was going to say, should I sit there?
Yeah. We're going to tell you what not to do. We have it cornered.
Got a lot of bad advice.
Leading by counter.
And it starts with starting a podcast, actually. I think that's step one.
Have you heard of role-playing podcasts?
Yeah. You know where all the money is? Long-form fiction.
Honestly, so as we're going to talk about this,
Yes.
I think the thing that we should have done
Warn people.
is launched a product like Patreon, right?
Yeah.
That feels like where the money, or like a podcast hosting network maybe
Right.
might be the other option, right?
Yeah,
Like
PHNF.
that feels like how you make money in podcasting,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Todd, is that true? The real money in podcasting comes in hosting the podcasts.
Well, I think it's from selling those pods, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That can't be true.
The problem with podcasting is you're casting your pods out, and you got to hold on to those things. They're valuable.
No, the problem with tabletop role playing game podcasts is that you don't always have all the spell slots for all the pods you're casting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
That's a deep cut.
Non-castable pods.
Non-castable
NCPs.
pods.
The NCPs. That's some 2E stuff. That's what I was gonna say.
Is there water?
We actually we'll have plenty of space for questions if people want to ask how to actually make money, and then we can tell them don't do. Yeah, but if you did, yeah.
Here's how.
Ad reads, baby. Get an agent. That's what we got an agent.
I gotta get some ad reads.
You got to get an agent. Yeah.
An agent? Really?
Agent, yeah. 'Cause
I can't tell if you're messing with me
No,
with
no,
the
no, it's
glasses.
real. Yeah, no.
Like
These are prescriptions. I actually need these.
You don't see hundreds of millions of dollars being spent on hosting.
Yeah, right.
That's true. That's true.
It's all in the
To be
fashion.
fair-
That's what it's in.
The fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta make.
This is a
We gotta-
sponsor.
We gotta be a company that makes shirts for podcast networks,
Yeah.
and that's where the money is.
Heck yeah. Just your graphic, right? Your network.
You know, when we launched programmatic about 2 weeks ago, and about 800 shows signed up. And the company we're working with, we have a cut, but we had cut our cut really, really low because if otherwise there's too many people taking a piece of the pie,
Right.
and then the podcast ends up shit. So
Yeah. And, you know, for me, it's all about pie flavor.
it's all about what?
Pie flavor. You know?
Rather than the cut, rather
Yeah,
than the
rather than
size
pie.
of the
I'd rather
pie.
have a little bit of cheesecake, which I don't know if that's pie or
It's
not.
actually
But
100% of your own. Don't work with nobody.
yeah, there it is. No pie for you.
And then dun, you forgot you're not a baker.
We're closing that up. We're still on starting though, right? We got 5 minutes.
Yeah, we got 5 more minutes.
5 more
Yeah,
minutes.
and that's the exit nowadays.
Okay, that's okay.
Everybody comes in through there.
When our mics are so hot they light on fire. We know.
Yeah. The exits are here and
Really have to
here.
inform you exits here. But
For those of you
morally-
watching online, the exit is still here
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to come all the way down to Atlanta to leave the stream. Sorry.
Yeah. If you
Not
try
sorry.
to click that top right hand X, it'll it's like pop up
Yeah.
when you're watching bad football streams
Oh.
for Euro Cups.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bad.
Poor streams.
Have we done?
Have we gone
this?
through our checklist?
No, let me do the checklist.
Okay.
Let me do the check. Track volunteer upon arrival. Track volunteer. They're busy. They're busy. I'm gonna just.
We are checking in with the track volunteer upon arrival and discussing setup.
Setup's disgust.
Yeah, I feel like
Disgusts me.
perfect.
Look at that.
Oh my God, we've been set up.
Yeah. Oh no, we know where the exit is though. You guys made a mistake. Begin your panel on time. That might be problematic. No, we're good. We're on time. Panels before 10. No mature content. We can have some mature content.
Only
before-
immature content,
10
baby. Let's
PM.
go.
Okay. Let's be mature. Oh no.
Ooh.
Do you guys know the official charity?
Yes,
They
I
left
do.
it
It's
blank.
open hand.
Is it?
Yeah,
Write that in.
yeah, I got you.
Open mono.
We need to discuss this setup. The official charity for Dragon Con, Dungeons and Dragon Con is Open Hand. Dragon Con will match up to an amount. That
How
they
much
have, right?
do you know? How much Dragon Con is matching?
All of it. They'll
All of it?
match
Is that
every-
true?
No, I thought it was
I don't know how much,
200,000.
Do you
Don't
know
quote me
things
on that.
how you're doing that?
but it's a lot.
Zeros.
100? 100,000?
100,000. Okay.
$100,000 of money raised during the con. You can drop your
was
donations
close.
in a space.
This bucket?
here, this bucket.
If you have cash, like it's
Every
1990.
You could drop your credit card in there too.
helps our community make a difference. If you do it here in cash, and
that
or
an open
anything that we
donation.
can sell. So if you have things on you that are
Yeah, we'll take anything.
Watch family heirloom.
priceless,
Dragon Con will match
they'll
its value.
pricelessness. Yeah, if you have a wedding band, and your panel on time, that's good.
mhm.
Okay, great.
And then the colors.
Yeah, well, they'll hold them up.
I
I've
assume.
done
Yeah.
these things before. We'll jump into it. I think we are waiting for one last panelist, but what's going to happen is because if that panelist
you
does
right
come
there?
in,
I did.
I would love for everybody, like if somebody comes up here, just cheer them. Just
Yeah.
cheer them. Let's make them feel at home. It's always awkward if you come into something late, and we're gonna try to cure that by over
welcoming them.
yeah, over welcoming. So you have my blessing to do that, and you can yell any affirmations if that happens. Otherwise,
Positive.
no affirmations. Yeah.
Clearly, some of our panelists were not informed that this is a shirt and tie
Yeah. This is
panel.
black tie.
Yeah, black tie
panel.
panel. I don't.
Didn't get the-
You didn't hear that?
I'm wearing
College
a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my shoes are tied.
I could tie a knot in my lanyard.
Don't do that.
No,
Those
do-
cost like
do that.
$5.
Yeah, people pay for that. So we, hey everybody, this is talking. We're talking specifically here about you've launched a tabletop podcast that taps into a network, and how do you tap into that network, that audience that you're looking to find? This is kind of like part marketing and branding, and also we're going to talk a little bit about differentiation and how you position your podcast and your creative efforts to where hopefully you can cut through the noise of a billion podcasts and try to give you guys kind of some ways that we ourselves have done that. And we'll also introduce ourselves. So you're like, oh, you seem qualified to do this. Otherwise, besides the fact that you're sitting in front of us. The other thing is we're gonna like really briefly at the beginning of this touch on some like quick best practices for starting your podcast in case you guys are right at that point as well. But this is gonna start your podcast panel, so we're gonna run through that one pretty quick. But just like as some quick, hey, here's some best practices. Make sure you have this make sure you have this checklist done before you jump into it. And then we're going to have probably a little bit longer period of questions than a lot of these panels have. We can talk forever. I know enough about the people around me that I have no qualms about us filling space. But if you guys do have questions, which I hope you do, because I would really like to make sure this is a very informative and helpful to you in your own situations, we will be taking those. But if you get any that come up while we're talking, hold on to them and then just vibrate in place at a frequency of your question so that I can like see the color and I'll point at you later.
What?
My color. Yep, that's how you do it. And
You can also use the microphone if you're not there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Twitch cannot hear your vibrating frequencies.
Okay. Just your experiences. So we're gonna start by introducing ourselves, and I'm gonna introduce Gabriel to introduce himself. Yeah.
I'm Gabriel Perez. I am a professional audio engineer for the Quid Pro Roll podcast, which we've been doing for 5 years. 5 years. I know how long it's been. And I'm also a professional talkie person.
Wow.
Yeah, I make words.
You make them?
I make words.
A word engineer.
Yeah, so I call it wordsmith.
My name is Mike Craniola. I am part of the Adventure Incorporated podcast, a D&D 5th edition podcast where we know some of the rules and intentionally break others, and all in the name of narrative. And so we have been playing Dungeons and Dragons and recording it and putting it out for people to listen to for 7 years as of April.
Huzzah! Yeah, we can. You know what? Just keep it going. Yeah, we'll get Gabe's later. Yeah, my name's Alon. I am at the Dungeon Meowster. I'm a professional game master who's the co-founder of Goblins and Growlers, building inclusive community through tabletop gaming. That's like a creative network. We do publishing and other things. It's fun. I do well known for my live shows with Celebrity D&D and what's the other one I do? I don't even remember. Mad Libs. That's why I didn't remember. Mad Libs Tabletop with voice actors and stuff like that for conventions. It's great. And then I'm on the Quid Pro Roll podcast and other things. That's enough. Yeah. Don't applaud me. No, go to
Nice cold in. All right.
Wow, they
I'm he
listen.
who is Steve. In addition to doing TikTok and YouTube and Twitch and basically anything that allows me to video myself and make myself the center of attention, I am a member of Botched D&D podcast, which is mostly improv comedy, loosely draped in the scarred skins of D&D 5th edition. And we are entering our 7th season starting Sunday night.
Woo! Wait, where?
Oh, at the Hilton Grand Ballroom West.
At DragonCon?
At DragonCon.
At
live here.
DragonCon.
Oh yeah,
That's where we're at.
applaud for Dragon Con. Also, it says over here, thanks Blueberry.
As our sponsor.
Oh, rate the panel on the app. Follow on twitch.tv/DC Digital Media. Thank you for moving that marker. Thank you, Blueberry. Thanks everybody for being here. We're going to jump in and we're going to do some quick, a little bit of a rapid round. Here's some best practices on starting your tabletop podcast if you haven't launched it yet, or if you launched it. Some of us, that's me. Well, I had to relaunch because we messed things up the first time. That's things you can do. It's not a big deal. So if you hear anything in here and you say, that's a great idea, I wish I had done that, you still have time.
It's not too late.
Yeah, plenty. So we'll go in the same order. And actually, we can give Gabriel his applause now.
Oh,
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So what's our prompt for this question?
If you're
That was
starting,
pretty vague.
if you're starting a tabletop podcast, what are the things that you want as if checking in with a track volunteer to discuss setup that's set up correctly for you to do that tabletop podcast?
So for tabletop podcast, one of the biggest things from an audio perspective is going to be figuring out what is your table and mic setup. If you're going to be doing like remote recording, where everyone's in their own home studios type of thing, and they're sending all of their audio files to their engineer, or if you're all going to be literally around a table, figuring that out is an incredibly important thing, because it's not, as we discovered, it's not the best thing to pivot mid podcast with.
This is it. This is what we were talking about.
Woo!
Yeah! Woo!
And a hush fell over the crowd. Are we just doing one thing, and then I'll popcorn it over.
As many as you want.
And then from that, there's also determining what software and hardware you have access to. As I said previously, actually on the digital media Discord, it is not like the tool that makes the quality of product. It is the proficiency of the creator. So even if you have like a not great microphone or a not great, like not the $4,000 softwares, you can still make an amazing product. You just need to know what you're comfortable with and what you can create with. which is the most important part.
Yeah, as a graphic designer, the best graphic design I see sometimes is still in Microsoft Paint. Just people who are really good at it.
Yeah.
Speaking of being really good at things, we have Devin from D4 joining us.
Hey everybody, excuse my tardiness. Elevator hell.
Elevator Con, welcome.
Yeah,
Classic. We've all been there.
Yes.
Devin, if you could, I know you, but these people don't. Tell them who you are.
Hey, I'm Devin Henderson. I'm one of the co-DMs. That's 2 DMs for D4. It stands for Devin and Dustin Play Dungeons and Dragons. We stream on Sundays. Yeah. But we are a Dungeons and Dragons 5e live streaming show on Twitch. We've been doing it for 3 years now, maybe 4.
Nice.
Yeah, 3 is right. I more know. I know your co-DM.
Yeah, Dustin. Dustin. Yeah.
Well, it's great to have you on the channel. I think one thing that's really interesting that as you guys are going to get this, we're going to go back to things. Yeah, save that applause. I know you're all holding it. One thing that's really interesting that Devin's going to offer. Everyone up here does podcasts that when we mess up, I was about to curse. Speaking of exactly that, we can edit them. Devin does not have that, so there's
something that was discussed in the last panel I was in. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, we can totally edit things if we don't like what's going." I'm like, "Oh."
There'll be some changes to that. There's
Wow.
also some very unique positioning things in that. So if you guys are looking to live stream your games, first off, you're insane. and I'm
Ambitious. Ambitious means ambitious.
Ambitious insanity.
Brave. Brave.
Devin will be able to speak to some of that more than some of us. I do some live shows, but I really try to make sure that people don't record them just in case.
It is a different monster.
Yes. So we're talking about just some really quick best practices for when you're starting your podcast or creative media. Just to get that out of the way, because this panel is more about how you find your audience and how you get your product to cut through the noise to get to them.
How to start?
So
to do this?
right now we're just doing a quick how to start. Just
like one. Yeah.
How, if this was a check-in with the track volunteer little things, then what would you do just real quick?
What would be your quick checklist? Your number 1 and possibly 2.
Yeah.
To do the if I was somebody new trying to get into this.
Yes.
Oh man.
We can come back.
Yeah.
It really, it depends on the level that you want to do it. If you just want to do it to get out there and have your show be viewable, there's, you have webcams and all of that kind of stuff. And everybody, there's heads and boxes, Zoom calls and stuff like that. It's a very popular thing now, especially after the pandemic. It's a very easy and viable way of doing it. There's virtual tabletop things that can bring visual immersion and stuff like that. But for us, we are a live table show. We had to be put into heads and boxes for 2 years, and it was not the same. It's still a valid and great way to play, but we also hand make all of our maps. So that's another way of immersion. But if somebody's starting new, whatever you have that's available to you that is fun and not stressful.
Yes.
That second one, if you try and do it professionally, is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve, what are you gonna throw out there?
A couple different things, kind of to piggyback off of what Gabriel was saying. In addition to making sure that you're utilizing the equipment that is available to you, because a lot of people want to go out and buy this, $1,000 microphone or $500 board, stuff like this. You can make the more budget conscious equipment work very, very well as long as you are making your space to record in properly, meaning not in the middle of the living room with all the traffic rushing by, not in a space where you're going to be disturbed, right? You can do it in a closet, okay? But do
it in a closet.
It's clothes are fantastic insulators. I recorded my first 7 or 8 YouTube videos just hunched over in a closet like a little goblin.
It makes your audio engineering so much easier, but it also makes you sweat the whole time. But I'm never more creative than I'm just when I'm almost dead.
So piggybacking off of that, the number one thing if you do want to make this start going the professional route, sound quality is your number one thing. Video quality, secondary. Actually, probably third, because it should be sound quality and then content and then video quality.
Yeah.
because if it sounds bad, people are going to instantly turn it off.
Yeah.
That's
Sure.
just how it works.
I'm going to go even a step before that for my quick hit. Google the name of your show before you release it. So again, my podcast is called Adventure Incorporated, and we play 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if y'all know, there is a podcast called Acquisitions Incorporated by Wizards of the Coast. There is also a podcast called Adventure Zone that's kind of famous, kind of a big deal in the scene.
It's okay. They'll never run into you.
The craziest thing is we hadn't heard either of these shows. We picked our name because we thought, we're going to do a show that is about an adventuring company. Why not name it simple? Put it at the top of the list. Starts with A. Sounds pretty good to me. And then we noticed where it slots in. If you look at an alphabetical list of D&D podcasts. Also, this was back in the day when that list was readable.
Yeah.
7 years ago, there was probably 15, 20 shows that had any sort of following behind them. We happened to pick 2 of the bigger ones, but here we are. And honestly, I wouldn't change it now because it fits the vibe so much. But 7 years ago, if we had done a Google search, we never would have run into that problem. And so...
And you're just happy that we have a lawyer, so if you need at any time,
yeah.
We'll just
glad to have made some connections,
Yeah.
and glad to have never received a cease and desist. So
we're working on that. We're trying to get one. We're leaning in.
We'll get one day.
We've heard audio quality, making sure that you assess your budget, make sure it's in your means, but audio quality is number one. We heard that from multiple people, so it's number one twice. We also heard location. And then not only that, but also making sure that you prioritize how you're going to bring the medium to the audience. I think I'm summing you up well. I think you had 2 points and I've lost one into the ether. Yeah, so it goes. And then also just Google it.
just Google it.
Or
Bing.
Blueberry has a whole bunch of podcasts on their network that you can check against. That's a good thing to do.
I thought we were going to plug Bing here.
Yeah, no, they can pay me. But I want to say if you most likely, if you are starting a podcast or any of these types of media and you're trying to find an audience, there is a piece of you that says, it would be cool. Doesn't have to happen, but it would be cool if we got some sort of momentum and had some type of success and maybe even sponsors or whatever down the line. So what I would tell you is if that is even a fraction of a goal, have some contracts in place with your friends and the people who you're creating with. To an extent, it doesn't have to be anything insane, but you don't have to have a comprehensive NDA because you feel scared or something. I would be scared to sign that, but just because if you do come into that success, you really want to protect your friendships, and a big way to protect your friendships is to make sure that you have talked about that sort of stuff just in case, and kind of have an idea of if you do luck out and get there, which I hope literally everyone does because it's awesome and it raises all the ships in the long form fiction space. Then I think that's an important thing to do.
Yeah, in the same way that a session 0 is really important when you're playing a tabletop game with your friends, to talk through kind of this is where my boundaries are and this is what I want to see happen at this table. The same conversation really needs to happen with your D&D podcast or your tabletop podcast in general. If you have a goal that is very different from the other people at your recording table, that is going to really pop up later down the line when it's I don't know, if you want to become a famous person and so you are willing to put the work that you think is required of that, and then your friends are like, but I just want to play a game with my friends, that level of involvement is going to be very different.
I grew up playing in a bunch of punk and metal bands. Any of you make that same mistake? Anyone? Only me. Good job. You?
Just
mistake. Quarter says mistake. Yeah?
Just supporting
Mistakes.
those
But
mistakes.
one of the things that you should talk about is whether or not you're okay with touring immediately. You say that immediately before anything else happens. Otherwise, it all just goes downhill. And I think I made that mistake twice. So learn from me and make sure that your punk and metal band will tour. That's what I'm trying to say. So, gonna get you, Charlie Southern. He's from Atlanta. Find him. He's a good man. So the next thing we're gonna talk about, we're gonna actually get into some of the meat and potatoes of this panel, which is looking at. You've started your piece of media. You said, "Oh my God, I've got the audio, I've got the narrative,
I googled the name,
some video, and I'm recording in my closet. I'm sweating profusely, and I'm ready to find an audience." Well, great news! Great news! I've lost thread. I found the thread. Great news! This is how you find that audience. We're going to talk first about names. Names are a piece of it, so we've kind of touched on like making sure that your name. You guys can read this anywhere. Make sure that well, first off, it's your name. It's not something that can be easily confused with other pieces of media, especially if they're in the same space.
Wow, I'm right here.
This is why you're here, to tell people how to do it the right way.
You are the example.
Yes. And then the other thing about your name is try to, find something that fits your show that is a unique offering. And then speaking of that unique offering, I want to give a quick second for everybody to do their elevator pitch. I think everybody up here has an elevator pitch, which for those of you who may not have heard that term before, it's just if you get stuck on an elevator with somebody, so that's Dragon Con. If you're at Dragon Con,
I don't know, no, because Dragon Con, that elevator pitch is going to be way longer than a typical.
Well, you should start long, and then you should start to. So if you start with your Dragon Con elevator pitch, and then get it to where if you're on an elevator that is actually functional and not going down to go up. Then have something that you can rattle off. Some people say 5 minutes. That's usually like if you see online what they say, it's not 5 minutes. If you can't complete it in a minute, then you need to just keep practicing. That's honestly what you need to do. Practice, and have your elevator pitch, because that's not just you selling it to people when you meet people. It's also what you're going to be recording for any time you're promoting your podcast. It's going to be what you're talking about at the beginning of probably your first episode. It's going to be how you start to say, hey, audience, here's my unique thing my podcast does, which is why you want to listen to it. And so we'll start with elevator pitches. We'll do it the opposite direction. And
sounds great.
Give them an example, and then if you don't mind, give a quick reason why you've kind of landed on that example.
Okay.
Your positioning.
So as I started, like, hey, I'm Devin from D4. I'm one of the co-DMs. So the first thing, co-DM. But I'll do a whole pitch. So, hey, I'm Devin, one of the co-DMs of D4. We're a live streaming 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons game that you can watch on Twitch, YouTube, and listen to on podcasts. We are the most canonical game to Forgotten Realms. We also custom make all of our maps. Everybody loves Dwarven Forge, but not everybody can afford Dwarven Forge, and we can show you how to make beautiful maps with stuff from Dollar Tree. We also are extremely heavy into bleed and emotion. Players get fully immersed into their characters. You will cry, you will laugh along with us. And also, our big bad is Lovecraftian Elder Evils.
He said that whole thing on the elevator on his way here, and that's why.
I almost did. Someone's like, "Oh, D4, you're one of the," and they were getting off as I was getting on. I was like, "Oh, well, there goes the." But all of those things were hot key points that make our show unique. We are a co-DM show. We were the first major co-DM show. It's become a little bit more popular now. We custom make maps. People love maps. But also Dwarven Forge, especially with the success of Critical Role and them seeing that, people are like, I can't afford that. So we show you the cheaper version. And then being canonical to Forgotten Realms. Forgotten Realms has been around for 30 plus years, and all of the campaign settings are set in it. And a lot of people, DMs, get them. They're like, oh, this is really awesome, but I'll only run what's in the book and then I'll make everything else up, which is completely valid and awesome. That's your table. Do it. But there's also a whole bunch of people that are watching us that are huge fans of the books and the lore, and all of that has been set it even in Adventures League and very, very obscure video games. If it was officially released, we've made a nod to it. So yeah, that's
cool.
That's another thing. Oh, and also Lovecraftian Elder Evils, because they're cool.
Just getting that SEO.
Yeah.
Sorry, SEO is search engine optimization, which when you're looking for, again, you're Googling your name. The reason why your name will pop up is because you've created a piece of media that is hitting these highlights that you put into creating that media. And therefore, when somebody begins to search for it, they either find you through search itself or through association with other pieces of media that other people are consuming, and that hopefully the algorithm has decided that they like because that they'll like your thing because they like another thing. That's the position.
That's the hope.
Yeah, hopefully that's clear. But if it's not, ask questions later. Yes, Steve. Go.
All right, so I'm he who is Steve. I'm a member of Botched D&D Podcast, and anybody who is really into tabletop RPGs, or has been for a long time, usually has a stack of a backlog of character concepts that they've written down, made the character sheet for. Aha, wouldn't this be funny as a joke character? And then has filed away into a closet, never to be seen again. Our concept is, what if we played each one of those characters for 2 sessions and then made our DM angry and he killed them and we had to play another one? We do it with raunchy adult themed comedy, and we like to enjoy a few beverages while we play, and it's very, very much the what if we were playing D&D at a bar with your friends on a Friday night. That is Botched D&D Podcast in essence.
Mm-hmm. And what now that we've heard the essence of it, why did you choose some of those essence to create?
Well, I chose it because that's always been what D&D has been for me. D&D has always been a vehicle for hanging out with my friends, being creative together, and just trying to make each other laugh. And if the idea is, if we can make each other laugh, we can probably make you laugh, but it doesn't matter if we do, because we're having a great time.
A little everyman situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've walked into a bar once, so I know how that goes. Yeah.
I've seen one of those from the street.
Whoa.
They don't let me in though.
I remember my first beer.
Yeah.
So Adventure Incorporated is a 5th edition podcast where we focus heavily on character RP and balance. I think balance is something that we are very good at as longtime improvisers. We've been playing together for 15 years in different formats, from short form improv to long form, different kind of situations, and all across the country in different places. And so when we decided to start playing Dungeons and Dragons as a podcast, it was mostly around an idea that we wanted to create a story together again. And the best way to do that was to embrace something that most of us had been doing for a very long time, and introducing a little bit of that game to friends who had never played before. And so our first campaign, we decided to play a 5-year story arc, because narrative is like the central thing, the main thing. And so we wanted to pay off people who wanted to spend that time with us to learn about the workings of a world that is just super deep with lore.
Yeah. What was your throw that elevator pitch out there?
So
that was your Dragon Con elevator.
Yeah. The actual, the 30-second version is Adventure Incorporated is a show for fans of improv, emotions, and the show Lost. And so
nobody's a fan. Nobody's a fan. It's Lost in the translation. That's a great movie, though, man. Awesome. And you picked those because
that's what we care about. Yeah. We were not going to make a show that we wouldn't want to listen to.
Yeah.
And so the show that we wanted was heavy on character, and it was funny, and it didn't take itself too seriously, but it had enough lore that you could really dig in and get lost if you wanted to.
Paid it off.
Yeah, we wanted to ask.
Lost.
We wanted to ask more questions than we gave answers to. On purpose.
Yeah.
So
the audience has to keep coming back for more.
For those answers. What is going on?
There's got to be an answer. They have to have something.
Listen and find out.
That's the secret. Gabriel, I'm actually. You're the audio engineer.
I am.
Yeah, so I'm curious what your elevator pitch is, because you're the audio engineer for a podcast I'm on.
Yeah. All right. Elevator pitch. Hey, I really love your D&D pin. That's really awesome. Do you like Tabletop Podcast at all?
I do. Do you? How did you?
So
Should I move?
What if I say that there is a tabletop podcast that combines amazing, beautifully written stories, hilarious improv from professional improv actors, and very intentionally crafted original compositions and music and sound effects in every single episode, and all the episodes are under an hour.
That sounds really high quality.
Yeah.
Where would I go to?
Well, fortunately, you can find it on every podcasting podcatcher.
My God,
So-
including Blueberry, one of the leading things.
Yeah.
So descriptive.
Yes, actually on Blueberry, Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, all those fun things.
Oh my God. Well, you've changed my
It's called Quid Pro Roll.
pooping schedule is forever changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 hour poops.
1
You're
hour
never
poop.
going to have a problem.
On the clock. Awesome. Well, great. Thank you. And the what do you do?
And if you think that that's not exciting enough, can I just really toss in really quick?
Please.
Because I can tell that you look like someone that might be a dungeon master as well.
Is it the hair?
It is
Are
actually.
we riding
and
the
the
elevator
sunglasses.
back
Yes,
up
yes.
now?
Yeah.
I've been closing the door.
Well, this podcast is
No
actually
one can leave.
every person on this podcast that works on this podcast is also a professional game master.
Sold.
Yeah.
Sold. You're sold.
It's a great time.
Yeah, our positioning stuff that we do for the Quid Pro Roll podcast, which is GM'd by Alex, who's in the audience. I'm just going to do this because she's awesome. Yep, there you are. Look
was
at
gonna
that
say,
confident
Quick camera
wave.
pan.
Hurry. Camera pan. Back. Look at the thumbs up. Back down. Okay, I'm sitting your panel. Gosh, get out of here, Alex.
Her pitch is so much more concise,
She's
by
really,
the way.
she's a professional. The rest of us are just cruising on the coattails. And so we mainly look at the fact that we're all professional game masters. We operate professionally at all sorts of places, conventions, comic book stores, etc. And then we also, and at bars, we actually do a ton of bar games, or used to in the free times. We're hoping to get back to more. And then, and then the fact that we're all silly, I guess. Yeah.
I will say one of the things.
Professional wrestling. We actually early on, because we talked about the professional wrestling on our podcast. Here's the thing for you
yeah.
all. Please steal this. We talked about professional wrestling. It was a joke at first, but we were asked to organize our podcast for Spotify and Apple and all those. I put it under wrestling and then tabletop podcast. We got a pretty good influx of listeners.
I was just about to ask, what are the analytics for that? Like,
Yeah.
is it good?
It was good. Yeah.
Oh,
It was
wow.
a good thing to
Positive.
do, even though people would tell you shouldn't. So really what I'm trying to tell you is ignore everything we say on this panel.
Uh-huh.
And
Do what you want.
Be creative. Be creative with how you bring your podcast to market. So you just heard a bunch of different elevator speeches and positioning statements of how people were not only looking at how their content would fit what a listener was looking for with these specifically, but also how our content would fit other content that's successful in the space to show some new ways of doing it in case listeners were looking for that. All that's really great. Also, throw some wrestling in, or a thing you care about that you love that also allows it to be not just a tabletop podcast, but and something else, whether that is improv, whether that is set building. For those of you who are not insane, what was the word we said?
Ambitious.
Ambitious
Brave.
and
Yeah.
brave enough to not do theater of the mind
And bravest.
and to stream live.
I think it can all be summed up into just about any type of business. Find something that sets you apart from the noise of everybody else, so that is unique to you, but don't force it.
Yeah.
I just want to say, don't try and find something that doesn't feel like you, like, oh, we have to do this niche because nobody else is doing it, and then it doesn't come off as authentic, because that will also that ship won't sail.
Devin,
Yeah.
that's a great word to use. Also, folks who want to help find their niche can come Sunday at 5:30 in this room for that. We will have a panel of experts who are going to talk about how to help you find your own niche.
Good
So,
plug. Unplugged. The other thing too, because this is one of the biggest key points, is like you're going to be doing this for a long time. Everyone up here, we've
Hopefully.
been doing, hopefully. I mean, even if your first shot doesn't work out, like you're going to be, if you want to create and you feel that, I think everybody's in this room because you have that energy of like, I want to create something that that I can sit there and I can look back on years from now and be like, wow, I did that thing. And like, you can listen to it with your friends and be blown away at the fact that you actually created something so cool. And you're like, well, I could never do that now because we're also creators and we try to put ourselves down whenever we create a thing. If you have that energy, you're going to keep trying. You will. And so you'll be doing it for a long time. So find something that's genuine and true and that you really, truly enjoy. And like you said, don't just try to find the thing that has the niche. We really lucked out. I really lucked out recently with Oz, the Viking Media. We did the Morkborg, our tabletop RPG. We just live streamed it for a bunch of charities. We did not know at the time. It had just been coming out. And we are big black metal fans because, of course, I won a tour. Charlie Southern, call me. Glad that you have such a generic name that I don't mind just yelling out there. My drummer's name was Balthazar, and I can't say his last name. You want to find something that you enjoy. We found this like black metal game that nobody was playing. We started to Twitch stream it to try to raise money for food banks and some PBT stuff. And then all of a sudden that game won a whole bunch of awards and it blew up and we were the only people streaming it. So boom, it became a whole thing that only came because we really loved the thing and then we lucked out into the space. So just continue to pursue the things you love. And if you luck out, great. And if you don't, it's okay too.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the thing with just about trying to do anything in the media entertainment industry is it's half skill and talent, half luck. That's really,
I feel like it's like 20% skill and talent, and then
10%
that's
luck.
what
80%
are we singing a
luck.
Linkin Park song right now?
No, it's 10% luck and 20%
20%
skill.
skill.
Yeah.
And 80% remembering the name because you Googled it beforehand to make sure that it was available.
I just feel like luck weighs in so much with like becoming like that Morkborg situation is perfect.
Yeah.
Where you're gonna launch your podcast and you're gonna have your cast and the like one person in your sphere that is like, you know what, I really want them to make it. And then maybe a couple other folks, right?
Not my parents.
Yeah, no, my mom doesn't understand. Why would you play that Satan game? You know,
Parents just
and
don't
so like,
understand.
yeah, and so
Will Smith.
Steph's mom listens. Steph is my wife. Her mom listens
Everyone,
to our show.
first Steph's mom,
Yeah.
please.
Be more like Sesame.
And so honestly, that's kind of how we started to grow listenership was like, I'm
Steph's
gonna leverage moms, right?
Yeah.
And like the support group around you, you know, is kind of how like it
Yeah.
starts,
Yeah.
right?
You're at the hair salon. You're
Yeah.
talking. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of color. What
Yeah.
are you doing? Oh, your kids. You could connect with them with some tabletop podcasts.
Right, yeah. Honestly, that has started working.
Yeah.
So we're part of a supporters group for our local soccer team, and we were on the bus to an away match, and this woman was like, "You do a D&D show, right? Like my son loves D&D, so we started listening to your show together as a thing." And so like the weirdest connections are going to happen the longer you start doing
Have
this.
your football bus pitch ready.
yeah.
So we've talked about positioning. We've talked about one thing I want us to hit real quick before we open to questions. Like I said, I'm giving some extra time for questions, but we can keep talking if you guys don't have too many. But get as specific or not as you want. I want us to talk about we all are presenting in different mediums. For the most part, we're in whole different places. And I want to take a quick moment to talk about some of those challenges to your medium. So if I'm a creator and I want to get into Twitch streaming with ambitious builds, which sounds very easy to me initially because I've done this before, please tell me. And I'm doing this because I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, that's great.
And not to steal your thunder, because you probably have a lot more challenges than just that. But tell me a few of the challenges that you run into with the medium so that people can sit there and they can say, you know, I have to choose a medium to create in. I only have so much energy. Please tell me. Please tell me if I should.
First things first, if you want this to be like a legitimate professional business, gonna make it in the space type of thing, you will not have free time. I work in the movie industry, so I work 70 plus hours a week, and then I work 40 plus hours a week on D4. So, I have no free time. Some hurdles that we have is because we're a live studio show, we have a crew. We used to have a partner production company, but this past year we split away from them to do our own ventures because we're going to step away from Dungeons and Dragons, even though we are D4, and we're actually becoming a TTRPG production company and doing a lot more things.
Yeah.
And so Dustin and I don't have to always be behind the screen. We can just
Right.
make other cool content.
The D4 is more of a dice now.
It's
I'm helping you with
a platonic solid.
Yeah. Ooh, Play-Doh.
But so it's having the crew that knows how to use all the equipment. We have a sound mixer that's live. We have OBS that has to constantly be worked, and has somebody that's running that. We have all the equipment, but again, as we said in the beginning, you don't need to start with all of that. One of my favorite podcasts, it's not a TTRPG, but it's Magnus Archives. They started with a blanket over their head and a microphone, and that was it. And it's one of the most beautifully done pieces of art on podcast I've ever listened to. But making the maps, we try and make a map for every combat we think they're going to get into. That means that we have no storage space. That means that sometimes we throw away maps or we save them for later, another day,
Classic GM.
because they circumvented it or didn't get to it. And then sometimes we do theater of the mind because players are squirrely and sometimes they do things you don't expect. But the production side, and then we have editors. We try not to cut as much because we're not in the podcast format. We're in a live streaming format. So the oopses and the out of play jokes and dice rolls and stuff like that, that's all in there. So it's authentic from the people that watch it and the people that listen to it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work on our because we're both a visual and audio medium.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in talking about the fact that you guys are live stream, your Twitch stream, you have so much that goes into it's a full production. What you guys do,
we even built a room for our studio.
Right.
Like we used to play in our local game store because they're amazing. And shout out to Meeple Madness, go check them out. They're up in Buford. But we built a room when we got enough funds to do so. And so when someone's flipping through all the Twitch channels, they'll see something that's visually appealing because we're visual creatures. And like, oh, wow, what's this? This looks professional.
Yeah, quick shout out to local game stores.
Yes.
Yeah, support them because they make all the cool things possible. It's I mean, not to undersell what we do, but the production that you guys do, because it's just more multifaceted. You got a lot more moving parts. If somebody is saying, I want to create this thing and I want to do it through Twitch, would you say no? What would you tell them?
Like I said in the beginning, I would say start small just to see if you want to do it. Run a mini campaign. We're a long form narrative. Mini campaigns are also more popular right now. But see what it takes just to do that. See if you're invested and if your players are invested enough because they have to sign up to be there weekly or bi-weekly, however often you put out content in order to record, because if they're like, yeah, I'm kind of casual about it, that's not going to be good for the listeners. If you're really serious about it, the way that we did it, Dustin went to D&D Live kind of as a joke that ended up being serious. Met a lot of people out there. He came back. We had run a LARP together for 10 years. And he said, hey, what if we did D&D together? Nobody else is doing it. It's like, cool, let's do that. We went to Gen Con and we networked the hell out of it, right? We did our elevator pitch to everybody. And surprisingly, no one said no. And then it was
surround yourself with yes men. That's what you do.
But here's the problem with that is in the beginning, Dustin was like, yeah, we'll do exactly what I suggested. Webcams at a dinner table, it'll be fun, lighthearted, whatever. When all of the companies are like, yes, we will help sponsor you, then you got to put your money where put your mouth where their money is. And you have to make it legitimate. And that was terrifying. So also be wary of that and think about how deep into this pool you really want to get into.
And maybe even do it with contracts at the beginning. Okay, we're going to go here and we'll migrate over.
refresh the.
Yeah. Let me refresh it. Somebody's trying to get into the medium. You're operating a podcast. Not only are you operating it, you're an audio engineer. So you have and a composer.
They tell me.
And also have a panel about composing in a narrative. So you are
composing for
a narrative. So you
APM
have a very specialized look at what people would have to go through in order to put out one of these mediums. Would you tell them no? And if not, what would you tell them?
I would never tell someone to not create unless what they're creating is like, dangerous to someone else. This is my podcast where I like throw rocks at people. Don't do that, maybe. That's also horrible for audio.
You don't even get to visually see it happen.
Yeah, it's just the audio. It's
This
horrible
is like
for audio
the-
form.
You see your Al from really far away.
The early 2000s, like regular guys got kicked off of Atlanta radio stations like over and over again. This is like
This is gold. Why
Yeah,
are
for
we?
sure,
okay.
actually. Yeah, I think I have heard that on a radio station before. Terrestrial radio is wild. Some of the things that can help sort of set you apart and set you up for that. Is that where we're going with this?
Yeah, and we're gonna
just making sure.
And you can go quick. I know we have other podcasters here, but we're gonna just skip over them to jump to questions because
Perfect.
Yeah, I like.
No, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like the right thing to do.
I'll say one of the best things that has come from working on Quid Pro Roll and going into that space is understanding what's fun. Like even in a professional sense, like what actually is fun, what I can actually pour my energy into when it comes to like audio engineering or composition, or when we're recording episodes and things like that. And also just engaging with fans and doing panels and stuff, like constantly finding what is actually sounds fun or will be fun. Even if, in certain areas I have to like reevaluate my own values. Like, okay, do I actually care about this X thing or this perspective more or less? And do I value this podcast at this area above X other things in my life? And if the answer is yes, then yeah, I'd lean in, and I would tell other people, lean in, have fun with your podcast, have fun with, especially if it's tabletop role-playing games with your friends. Like it's supposed to be fun. You can certainly get like an awesome sponsor and make a super delicious professional product that everyone's going to hear that Apple sound. But if it's not fun, then you're not gonna. I think the word.
How much
the
do you
word
like
authentic,
your regular job? Right? Like now, imagine doing another one of those.
Imagine having several regular jobs.
No.
I barely like my first one enough.
Something that's been mentioned across the table a couple times is the word authentic. Coming across with authenticity. I as a part of my personal mission statement, is that the thing?
Yeah.
I strive for authenticity in every part of my life as best I can. Especially in professional senses. And if you're being a professional audio engineer,
for marketing.
For those of you out there who want to be audio engineers too, bless you, creatures. You are in for a world of wild sounds.
A world of mic breathing.
Yeah.
And beard scratching. Yeah, I will say, I know we're not allowed to talk, me and Steve here.
Can you mute this?
But I will say that if you like scratching your beard more than you like podcasting, don't start a podcast unless you have an engineer to mute that.
Visual medium. No audio.
No, or the like the mic's just here and you hear the
the ASMR D&D.
Nodding me on my own panel.
and you're like the audio engineer's like cool mute.
Yeah.
Moving on. All right.
Yeah.
Which channel is that from?
And real quick, Steve, if you want to throw something out there, and then we'll get the last thought from Devin before we jump into questions.
From mine.
Yeah. What I would tell you is, I'm sorry, I completely.
It's okay. Devin
I had
had a
something.
thing.
Devin had a thing.
Okay,
Go ahead.
So, I don't know most of these people. So, hey, guys, nice seeing you. I will say this, though. just a visual representation. This is not the TTRPG space, right?
Yes.
A bunch of white males, and you look not white, so there you go.
And Gabriel.
Ethnically ambiguous.
Yes, but that being said, is if you are looking to get this into a professional standpoint, know that you are putting yourself out there to be judged, to be scrutinized, all of that stuff. And you have to take everything that is said with a grain of salt, sometimes a bag of salt, because you're not everybody's cup of tea. But also, you have to have the courage to be changed in the sense that we all have grown up with our own cultures and family and trauma and all of that stuff, and we fuck up. We're all people. We fuck up, but you have to be able
including
to.
that word, which didn't happen.
Sorry.
Yeah. No,
Case in point.
that was case in point. You were making that was the right point to make.
Yes. So
No?
yeah, PG-13. You
You
get
didn't
one.
say that twice. It skipped.
Anyways,
This is what we
everybody
get for
messes up.
bringing
We're
records.
all human, right? So you have to have the courage, and you have to let go of ego and pride. And if someone says, "Hey, this is not okay," you have to say, "Thank you, and I will try to do better." You also have to do the research for yourself and know what kind of content you're putting out into the world, because you may not have intended to hurt someone, but words do have weight. So just be mindful of the content you are creating.
Wordsmith, is that statement improved?
Oh,
Wordsmith?
absolutely.
Yeah? Okay.
Words have weight even to yourself. Like you can build yourself or destroy yourself with the right sentence in the morning. Yeah.
Self-care. Yes, Steve.
And we keep using the word content. The word content is a big word these days. But remember, when you're getting together with your friends and you're doing this thing that you're doing, you're making art. Okay, you're putting yourself into it. If you're doing it right, you're putting your passion into it. And like Devin said, the first critic came after the first piece of art. People are going to come after you. Okay, but you have to be able to sift through the trolls and people that are being genuine and want you to be better. Because those people are out there too. Not everybody that criticizes you hates you.
Yeah. Case in point, my mom. The thing too about content as the bubble letter thing, and specifically the fact that you're making art, is that not all art is great, and you can sit there and be your own judge and say, okay, this one didn't quite get there. But sometimes when you're on a very tight schedule, especially if you're live, you have a certain just keep creating. Don't let it stop you. You can smash through that wall. And then eventually you'll look back a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and be like, oh my gosh, I've gotten incredibly better just because I continue to push it. Cool. We're going to open up to questions. I know we went a little bit longer than I wanted to, but if you have a question, we have a mic. So yeah, you can go and use the mic.
Yes. Contestant number one.
Hello.
Hi.
So 2 questions, and I'll happily
Awesome.
swap out with somebody else. So my first one is when I actually started my whole situation, we actually had that conversation of, well, do we call it by the campaign name, or do we start with maybe a production name instead?
Sure.
Yeah.
And so what are your thoughts and opinions on that? Because we actually started with when we had that question for ourselves, we decided to go with more of the production name, because then it's the campaign was the World of Monsters, but then what if we did a different campaign that wasn't that, and we branded the entire thing under the campaign name, and it's oh god, what is that? So in kind of in that realm, what kind of advice do you all have?
Well, we can go.
Bigger is better, I think.
We can go really quick down it. We'll go start here. We'll just
Okay, cool. Yes, both. You want the production name and the content that you are streaming, because that's what people are going to search for. SEOs are your friend. Get people that know how to do them. I don't. And all of that, and learn algorithms, because that's how you're going to get viewers.
I would tell you it depends on your situation, to use your word. Are these 2 separate things that you're making, or are you making 2 different things, saying 2 different campaigns that I want the same listeners to come to both of these campaigns, right? Or are these 2 separate pieces of art that I'm intending for 2 different pieces, 2 different audiences? Or am I doing something, a different kind of art with this thing, right?
Yeah. I'm a big dress for the job you want, which is why I'm dressed as a Norwegian wolf Eurovision star. And so that, I think if you create that production because your view is we're going to have production like a fuller thing, then that's awesome. Just understand that as you start to build that scale, that starts there, you might end up being like, oh, well, then we need 2 Patreons. Oh, well, then we need 2 sets of bonus content. Oh, then and so just be careful.
Yeah.
Scale and scope creep is
real.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you go with production, be ready for when you switch gears to lose listenership or to change listenership. Because some people are going to like the first thing that you did and not the second thing. It's the same with bands, right? The first album was killer and the second album, hot garbage. And so like, if you're doing the thing for you, great.
Yeah, I'm all for flexibility. If you're creating like what could one day become a network, like you're giving yourself that flexibility. If you're creating that, and then you're like, this is our show, our main show, but we might have more in the future if you like our content.
Yeah.
I like the flexibility of that personally.
For a second question, I'm going to ask you to get in the line again for question number 2, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, awesome. Come on up. Hello.
Hi. So it's actually more a question for Gabriel. So
Okay.
you were talking
Good
about separate audio files. So
Okay.
like all of my friends are across the country.
Yes.
What would you
Remote.
say is the best recording medium for
Oh
that?
God! So there's a lot, but the best thing would be what is accessible to each person. There are a handful of services that you can that are very cheap or free that can sort of like hub them depending on what your content is.
Okay.
What we often use is Audacity, fantastic little freeware. Records very nicely, especially if you have a good the hardware setup is good. Audacity will work fantastically for you, and then you can just send it to whatever your favorite hubbing format, a Google Drive or Dropbox.
Gabriel's a professional, so he's skipping over this part, but make sure they record local.
Yes.
Audacity, localized.
Yes.
That way, if there's any issues on the stream, the feed, whatever, you still
Yeah.
have a local file on their side. So then you have the local file, and then hopefully you have a general
Yes.
file. Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
question.
Hello.
Hi. So my question has to do with observing the metrics and looking at that and figuring, okay, at what point is it I should kind of pivot to something else, or because you guys have done this for a long time, you guys have done
Yeah.
a bunch of these kinds of things. At what point do you look at it and go, this doesn't seem like it's building the audience I'm expecting it to. I
Yeah.
should do something else.
Let me-
When I stop having fun.
Yeah. I'm going to ask the question back just to make sure that I'm 100% on board with what you're saying. Hey, you're looking at your numbers. You're looking at how your thing that you've created is doing by the metrics that you've decided to organize it by.
Yeah.
And you're not seeing it hitting the targets that you've set for yourself. When do you pivot?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to start here and then go down that way?
I mean, I'll sure what Mike said, like when it actually is in a realm where you're not having fun with it anymore. And it's something like if you're doing it with a group, it is something where everyone's like, yeah, we feel comfortable going to another stage. I mean, as a composer, I'm very used to like starting 1 million projects and having all of them at 20 to 50% done. So that is not always the best question for me when it comes to that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Again, just
But more of the marketing people there.
like for me, if I'm not hitting the metrics but I'm having fun, I don't care about my numbers. If I am not having fun, I also don't care about my numbers because life's too short, and so I would quit when that happens.
I'm not, even though I am a numbers guy, I don't look at my numbers because I don't want to know. Really where I'm at. But if you want to know, and we have friends or the people who I work with who do look at the numbers, I'd say when you're not hitting those goals, but you have something else that you feel more excited about, like once something else has surpassed the excitement of the thing that you're currently creating, pivot, go and chase the exciting thing. Especially if the other one isn't quite meeting what your goals were, because you're going to get better every time.
Yes. I wouldn't worry too much about those numbers like everybody else I think is saying. Having fun with it, and if you are feeling good about it, if you record an episode and you're like, oh man, we laughed our butts off the whole time, it was excellent, we had a great time, and you're doing that consistently, the numbers might not be reflective of the quality of your content, just the audience you're reaching. There's an audience for everything. You just got to find the audience. Okay. It doesn't mean you're making
That's
your
super
content
true.
wrong.
Yeah.
Right here.
Numbers are everything. It's the only thing you should strive for. No, I'm kidding.
You heard it here first, folks.
I agree across the board. The numbers are not even my top 10 list of things to care about. But they do matter if you're trying to look into the space. There are businesses you can pay for that will break things down to the very minute degree. However,
maybe even Blueberry, possibly they probably have that.
Some
Analytics.
you have to pay for, and some cost a lot of money. And the more money they cost, then probably the more minute you can figure out exactly where all of the little ticks and numbers go.
How
but
long somebody stayed
if you're
scrolled on
chasing
your
that,
thing.
you're going to be chasing a dragon, because you're gonna be like, oh, that was the one thing that we did, and you're gonna try and put that in every show, and it's gonna lose its value. You're gonna step away from authenticity. You're gonna step away from the things that we keep saying, which is like things that are fun for you. If you're having fun, you're gonna have an audience that is enjoying it. But also being said is, if you feel that passion start to wane and you have something else flare up, go after that, because that's gonna be fun. But yeah, numbers aren't as important, but if you are looking into it, SEOs and algorithms, look heavily into that, how they work, because that's really the only thing I know how to make it work better.
Yeah, where we're at the time. Awesome.
Good question.
Yeah, awesome. Next one, and we're going to, if you have a thing to say, then jump in, and then we'll try to.
That is really short. I have a quick question for Devin, just because it seems like you do a bit more of a video medium along with yours. Got to start a project doing that myself. Are there any certain pitfalls that you wish you had known when you were starting out? Just because this is the first time.
You're going to want an audio engineer and a video engineer that knows the equipment.
Okay.
Because if you are trying to look into both of those worlds, you have no idea what they are. You're going to spend too much money, and you're going to get the wrong equipment that is not compatible. Because especially in audio, oh my God, there's so many things where you're like, oh yeah, this should work. Yeah, it should. But guess what? It doesn't. And you're throwing money at a wall, and that's going to be a huge problem. So the first thing you're going to want is an audio engineer and a video engineer that know what they're doing, know what equipment you can use, and to start small and build your way up to, because you don't need, it's not, money doesn't equal quality. It's knowing the equipment equals quality.
Yeah.
It's the difference between a photographer and someone with a camera.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Great question.
Yeah. Hello,
So intros are always very important.
Yeah.
It's kind of like every episode elevator pitch. So what are key things that we should look for when constructing our intro? How do we what are some things we should absolutely avoid when constructing our intros? Because, if someone turns off your podcast in the first 15 seconds because, your intro was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
What are some things that we should be considering?
Okay, super short. We'll get answers from everybody super short. You can re-record it. That's going to be there's other things, but understand if it doesn't hit exactly what you want it to, you probably only have one episode, maybe 3. If people get past your third, they're in. So you can re-record your first, or second, or third. You can re-record all of them. Get it right. And then later it's fine.
I say only on the first one, do the full intro of everybody, because if you do the full intro of like, hey, I'm this person, I'm this person, I'm this person, I'm this person, I'm gonna skip that hardcore. If you want that, put that stinger at the end where it is skippable. Okay, I listened to the whole episode, done.
Yeah, the way we go with it, and what I would recommend you trying is put a little version of that elevator pitch at the beginning. Hey, this is what this podcast is. This is what we do. This is who we are. Real quick, short and sweet, maybe funny,
maybe,
and let people know what they're about to listen to.
Yeah. Our intro is, our DM says, hey, to the listener every time, hey, thanks so much for checking us out, whatever points we have to hit. And then we play a pre-recorded intro. It helps bring people in a way that's fresh and new and exciting every time. And then you can use that little 15-second skip button on your podcatcher.
Yeah.
So
work on what your inner world is, and then try and shorten it down to 1, maybe 2 sentences.
Last question. Go fast. Yes. Awesome.
What do you think is a good podcast length of what you release?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, shoot.
Everybody's gonna have different answers to this.
We're a 4 to 5 hour show.
Average.
Yeah.
We're a 4 to 5 hour show, but popular right now is 2 hours.
Yeah. we try to hit 50 minutes.
Yeah,
but I'm
we're-
currently writing something that's going to be 25 because I want to make it. That they tell you never to
What?
do that. Yeah, they say never do that, but I'm going to do it because they tell me not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're 45 minutes to an hour, but that changes in narrative beats really.
Yeah, we are entirely at the mercy of the story. We've done supersized episodes of 2+ hours. We've done 45 minutes. We've done
Time's Up, which means that your time is exactly what you want it to be. It's that length. Hopefully
Yeah,
it's helpful.
whatever's comfortable for you for recording.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
Real quick, we're going to let people say their things. Do you mind if we say the things? You can give me a thumbs up or down.
Okay. My name is Gabriel Perez. I'm a professional audio engineer, quid pro role. You can find me at on Instagram at Amethyst Audiomancer, and 8 p.m. tomorrow at a panel
wow.
Yeah.
composing for a narrative
Somewhere.
for
I
audio
am-
engineers and music-y people.
I am Mike Ellis. Oh, wow, that's my old name. I'm Mike Croniola. I got married this year. I'm still getting used to it. It's sick as hell. Follow us at Adventure Inc. Pod.
Yeah, I'm Alon at the Dungeon Meowster. I do so many things. Follow Goblins and Growlers and the Quid Pro Roll podcast for the most of them.
I'm He Who Is Steve. You can find me all over the internet at He Who Is Steve. I like to make funny videos. I'm a member of Botch Podcast. We are going to be live tomorrow night in the Hilton Grand Ballroom East, where we will crush Adventure Inc. in the Blood Feud. Come by and have fun. All right. And we'll be
distinct.
live premiering our season 7, episode 1 premiere live in the Hilton Grand Ballroom West on Sunday night at 10.
Nice. I'm Devin from D4. We're a 5th edition D&D show. You can catch us on Twitch at D4 D&D RPG at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Sundays, including this Sunday. We will be in studio. And you can find all the information at d4dndrpg.com.
And you all are live at Dragon Con. Thanks for coming to our panel.
Thank y'all.
And the red light's on.